about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just this gown? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home, meanwhile focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last.
That was Outside by Walter, and you definitely know it's either Monday or Friday at 12 p.m. because Walter is on your radio on 103.5 FM, WNHH, New Haven. This is Behind the Brand. I am Easy Blues. Preston, unfortunately, he had to go search for Sasquatch, and he will be back at another date and time. We wish him well. But today, we're here to talk about one of the most incredible art forms that are out there, an art form that you truly are one-on-one with the artists themselves, where you can become part of the living, breathing artwork that's out there. And today, we are blessed, we are honored, and we're privileged to have someone who went from the fine art section of the world to the tattoo art section of the world before there was this boom of massive fine arts going into tattooing. So it is an honor and privilege, and I want everyone to put their hands together, not if they're driving. If they're driving, please keep your hands at 10. We don't need any accidents. But mentally, I want you to put your hands together for the fantastic, the amazing, the absolutely incredible, and honestly, such a great hand, too, because you can see it on my hand, and we'll put that stuff up later. Ashley Velazquez, welcome to the show.
How's it going, guys?
So you are a tattoo artist. You are a tattoo artist in New Haven. You've decided to stay in New Haven. So how many forms of crazy are we actually at right now? Because that's incredible.
I know. Yeah. I decided to stay. It's where I'm born. I'm born and raised in New Haven. I've lived in other cities here and there. I've lived in West Haven for a little bit, Hamden for a little bit. But as far as work goes and where I want to keep my business, it's always been New Haven. I mean, I have Elm City tattooed on my ribs, so I rep it kind of hard. So where I want to push my artwork and where I want my team to be and clientele to know us from is definitely New Haven.
And I think that's so interesting too, because you do say you're pushing your artwork. And I remember back in the day of tattooing when it was a lot more tabooish and it was a lot more like, oh, why would you do that? You took a step away from getting a fine arts degree,
right,
to tattoo people. And I'm sure. And first of all, you're talking about, especially back then, it was a lot more of a male dominated industry. So there were so many different negatives that was against you. What made you decide to do that? Are you just that stubborn or that awesome of a human being? I know you're that awesome, but
right. I'm gonna say a little bit of both. I am very stubborn. I get that from my father. I did take the step back or away from that fine arts studying because I was actually in college studying for it, and I'm a college dropout with one semester left because once I found tattooing, I realized I know it sounds silly, but there was literally nothing pushing me to finish that last semester because I found tattooing. I realized, I've been going to school for 3.5 years now for that fine arts degree. But the way I was looking at it at the time, call me stubborn or whatever, but that piece of paper was just going to be a piece of paper that says that I can draw really, really well. And I know art, but I couldn't see myself finding a job in that was going to really make me any money. And I was a senior looking to make money. So when I started tattooing, I got into it. And I realized wow, I can pay my rent off of tattooing. And at the time I had my first apartment, but I was also going to school and waitressing at Olive Garden. So I said, wow, tattooing is really what's paying the bills. And I don't have to bust my butt waitressing on people. So I just dropped everything and I went into it full force, and here I am. And like you said, against a bunch of male people in the industry, I kind of pushed through, and here I am. I've been doing it 13 years now. So
now, of course, the amazing elephant in the room is people know you. They might not understand how they know you, but you are forever etched into pop culture history as being a member of the Ink Master cast, and I'm sure you get 1.5 million questions on that. We'll talk about it for about 32 seconds, and then I'm going to want to know about actually you. By someone who is stubborn, and I actually remember your season because I used to watch it religiously. Mainly because I have a tattoo addiction, and I watch it and be like, okay, I need to get that done.
I hear
uh,
you.
um, so what was it like, and what was that process like, and what is it like to go from dealing with the artist aspect to it to having a time frame and to having
Right.
all these additional, making it a game? What was that process like for you?
Right. So Ink Master was the best thing I think that could have happened to me as far as like um how it set me up in the industry and getting my feet into a lot of different things with people, but it was the hardest thing I've ever done because when you do something like that, like a reality TV show, how you watch it and being on that side of the television to then being on the other side with all the cameras, a lot of people will never get to experience how wild both worlds are. Like I can't even watch shows like that anymore because I know what it's like to be filmed. The timing, having time limits on tattoos for the purpose of the show, like that's one thing. Like you can learn to be fast if you have to, but I never was taught or learned what it took to be on TV. And I think that was the
Hmm.
biggest shocker. Like you need to be a different person in order to be on TV. And I had to learn that quick because if you don't get airtime. But I had to
Right.
learn like I was on there because I was a good tattooer and they saw something in me because it was a very select few of us that ever have been on the show. So they saw something in me to do it, but I didn't know how to be on TV. So I
Hmm.
had to learn like there's a certain way you talk, there's a certain way you look at people, you interact with people. And it's not like an everyday thing. Like you need to turn something on and off. And that was what hit me hard. Like I'm literally a character. And if I give these people what they want that are saying go and action and cut and they like me and I make them laugh, then I'm doing a good job. So I need to do more of that. So that was what TV was like for me. Just make these people happy and I'll make my experience all that it needs to be.
No, that is awesome. And I look, I have to say, you had some of the most entertaining parts that are on there. Although I will say, from a reality show, I was disappointed you didn't go to blows with anybody. I
Yeah.
feel like you could have. I feel like you would have been justified.
Yeah, I was willing to. I was willing to because I mean, well, like I says, the show that you guys see on television on Ink Master, and you tune in every Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever night it may be for that hour that you're watching, it would have literally taken us an entire week
Mhm.
worth of footage to film that one episode. So we're talking hours upon hours of footage that we're shooting every day, being edited and condensed down into 1 hour. So they basically told us like do what you need to do to like be on there. I need to have moments. I need to have these big energy moments, and then you're gonna get as much time as you can in that hour. So if they wanted like an argument, if they wanted me to get into somebody's face, like close enough to hit someone, I did whatever it took, and it wasn't the contract not to hit anyone, so I couldn't. But I try to give the people what they wanted. I couldn't win, but it's fine. Like I that Courtney thing, like I'm a winner in my heart because I got on television and I got free publicity and exposure from being on the show. Like millions of dollars worth of being out there that I wouldn't have never been able to pay for on my own. But winning would have been nice. But hey, I did it. So
No, look, it is an honor to be nominated. That's one of the most
yeah,
important things. But you've also made all the proper choices since then because
yeah,
you've taken that experience and all those extra millions of dollars of free promotion,
right,
and you've crafted a business for yourself, and now you're just moved into a new location. What is show off artistry? I know that was actually some of the tag that when you were
yeah,
on the show as well. So you knew, you understood branding even back then.
right,
Um,
yeah.
so what is show off artistry, and why in particular do people want to choose to go there?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, like you said, once I got off the wave of the show, I didn't want it to go to waste or go for nothing. So as soon as I left the show, I did probably within that year open my first business, Show Off and Artistry. We were originally located on State Street in New Haven.
Hmm.
And the reason for it being Show Off and Artistry was the tag name that I was giving Show Off early on. Like I'm talking like months into tattooing when I kind of picked the skill up on my own, and I had these OG tattooers in the shop wanting to teach me how to do things. And I was like, no, sorry, no, thank you. Like, I kind of know what I'm doing. So they gave me the name Show Off. So I wanted that tag name in the business for sure. So Show Off and Gardashi was founded in 2018. And the reason why it's the place to go, my first location, 5 years open, and now we've moved to another location on Whitney. I want to say because we're your downtown shop. So people who are into tattoos and or they travel, there's tattoo shops everywhere. New Haven has a good amount. And there are some that are in downtown, but downtown shops can get a really bad rep for being like that shop that's open 24 hours of the day. And if you got like $50 burning in your pocket and you need to get something, you can go and get like this little thing put on, and the artists there don't really care too much about who you are, your story, why you're getting it. They're there just to get the tattoo and keep it moving. And I didn't want my shop to be like that. Like, I did want it to be about the art. I wanted it to be a pretty like high class exclusive place that people want to try to go to. And we're just not going to be there to take your money. We're going to be there and treat you well and give you a real custom piece of art. And we've been doing very, very well. So I think people are picking up that like Show Off is the shop that you want to go to if you're in downtown, or if you're even passing through Connecticut, passing through New Haven. We want my shop to be the place that you stop by to take your home a souvenir, a tattoo for life.
And no, and that's 100% like the vibe in which the shop is. Just from the outside walking in, I've been to many different tattoo parlors in many different states. And I usually like if I'm checking out a new place, I'll go in with a design that I know is a failure. Because I want to hear if the artist is going to be like, oh yeah, just $50 and we'll knock that out right now. And I'm like, I'm out. I got places
exactly.
to be.
You're better. You know better. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I for a while it was, I want a platinum record. And people were like, no, that's a horrible idea. And I was like, okay, that's the checkoff mark for me. But it's more than that, because you guys have this great location. You're above Ulm, which is Ulm, whatever, one of the best bagel places.
I've been at the shop like 3 years. I'm 3 months. I'm sorry, and I'm learning Olmo Bagel.
Olmo Bagel, which is delicious. I was able, when I went in to get my little, as you call it, the little banger, which people can see, you did an incredible job.
Thank you.
And it healed like within the next day. It was like, yeah, we're good. I was like, oh wow, apparently I'm Wolverine now. Now, when you are taking on these different pieces, you and I we're talking like, yeah, and you kind of like sparked it up for me on these little banger pieces, and I think that's actually how I'm going to finish off my sleeve, is just by like little bangers throughout the entire thing. So we'll talk because
all right.
We had way too
where I
much
am.
fun. Yeah, exactly.
You know where I am.
Exactly. What do you prefer, like as an artist yourself and as a businesswoman? What do you prefer? Not like what's your favorite style, but what do you prefer to do and to give to someone, and what do you prefer for yourself, and are they the same?
Right. So that's a very good question. I've never gotten asked that, and I've done interviews upon interviews. That's a great question. Like, what do I prefer to do, and what do I, even if it's not for me? I love that. So I think it's because of my fine arts background. I like to do a lot of like realism. I love to do things that on skin can look like a painting, look like something realistic. I love black and gray work. I can dabble in color. Is it my favorite? No. It's I love the classic black and white of way of tattooing. I love how it can hold up. I love the softness of it. So I love when a client comes to me knowing all those things, know that I love black and gray, I love realism, and they give me just the idea and they let me just create. If it's one thing that people listening right now need to know, what artists don't like is when you bring in a paper, and most times it's a printout of something you saw online of another tattoo that someone did, and you come in saying, this is what I want, and I want it exactly like this. As nice as that tattoo may be, or oftentimes it's not, there's no way you can really ask us to duplicate something that somebody else has. Like it's ridiculous, but it happens all the time. Us artists want the freedom to, yeah, maybe go off of something, but always create it ourselves. So I love when someone comes to me and says, "Hey, I want to get a memorial piece for my father." And I'm like, "Okay, great. Let's sit down. I have a pen and paper. Tell me some things about your father." "Oh, great. Like he was a fisherman. He loved this place to go fishing. He did X, Y, and Z." And off of just talking to someone and writing down some bullet points, I can create this piece for them. Let it be a half sleeve, a full sleeve, whatever the case may be. I just love like the creative freedom of like, here's what I'm looking for, here's my thing. And I like it because when you go to show someone, it's meaningful, it tells a story, and it's definitely like a conversation starter of these tattoos and how it came about. So that's how I like to work.
Well, first of all, I love that you actually spoke about that because that's one of the
Mm-hmm.
things I've always thought was interesting. Any type of, someone else's art that I'm going to get involved with, whether it be another musician, whether it be a tattoo, I want the artist's spin on that. That's what you do, So I'm the
Right.
first person to be like, okay, this is kind of what I want, and then I want you to have as much fun with it as humanly possible. I just
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like everything is better in that type of situation. Why do you think that is such a, especially for, we'll say, those downtown shops? Why do you think that is such a weird culture that has happened? That people are like,
Right.
I need this the way to look like just exactly like this.
Right. And I think the reason why is a lot of those old school shops, like, there were those shops where you'd walk in. I mean, and it may work for people and that's fine, but I was totally against it in my shop, even when I opened 5 years ago. I didn't want to be that shop where you walk in and there's tons of like flash stuff on the
Mhm.
wall. And you can flip for like an hour before you decide, okay, this is what I want. And then all that artist is going to do is go to the back and find number 185, photocopy and slap it on you, and not care whether or not they've already done it 3 times that week. So, it's one of those things where people are just walking around with the same thing over and over. You could be walking down the street and you guys have a matching tattoo with a stranger because they did it already and they didn't care. So with us, it's more so there's not going to be something necessarily for you to pick off a wall and pick. You're going to tell us what's the idea in your head. You don't necessarily have to be an artist and come in with something pre-drawn, even if it's in your head. We'll talk it out, and us being artists, it's our job to put it together. Um, so we're not that shop that, you go to the wall and pick stuff up because there's no originality there. And we love that we're custom. My artists in my shop will show you they know how to draw. It's not a matter of just printing something out of the computer and slapping it on you. Like there's steps to it, and we're pretty good at it.
No, you guys are pretty good at it. And we're having a pretty great show here on 103.5 FM WNHH. Behind the Brand, I am Easy Blues Prestige once again out to court Sasquatch. And we are here with Ashley Velazquez talking about show off ink artistry and the incredibleness of tattoo culture. I am someone obviously who loves tattoos. I'm a big fan. But for like the first person that wants to get in there, because there's a whole bunch of people. I've always thought about getting tattooed, but to think of something I would want on myself for the rest of my life is just absolutely ridiculous. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but you guys are the shop for that because it
Right.
isn't a matter of that flash. It isn't a matter of I'm going to walk in with the same, hopefully properly translated, Kenji on my arm
Mm-hmm.
as
Mm-hmm.
the four other people. I was lucky enough. I walked in with the dictionary. When I have
Yeah.
I have I have like four pieces of Kenji on me, and I walked in with the
Mm-hmm.
dictionary and I said, I want that one, I want that one, I want that one, and I want that
Right.
one.
Right. Right.
But other people do not walk in with that type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
What advice can you give that person that is on that fence that swears, I have 1.5 million ideas, but I just can't really commit to anything.
Right. So what I will say, first things first, is you have to do a little bit of research, right? So that downtown shop that'll take your $50 and kick you out. Like let's not try to do that always, especially if you're like on the fence with things. You got to kind of do your research. You got to look up Google reviews. You have to see what a shop's about. And then if you have the time and it's important, go a step further and dig into that shop and the artists, and then realize not everyone tattoos the same. People have their own specialties, their own lanes. And then see whose work speaks to you. And that's another way that we work in my shop. If we get a submission of an email of a guy interested in his first tattoo, and this is kind of what he's thinking, we can kind of decipher that and say, okay, you know what, perfect. That'll go best in this artist's chair or this artist's chair. And we're really big on everyone at my shop is good, but everyone also has their own specialty and what they like to do. So we're going to pair you with that person or someone who we think you're going to vibe with. And if you are completely unsure and you think you don't know, we're big on consultations. So you're going to come in, you're going to talk to the person, and within 15 minutes of talking, we're going to get out of you what you want. You may not know, but we're going to get it out of you. We're going to figure it out. And then once we start talking and bringing your life to like this vision, we get you excited at that point. So we're definitely good at like trying to help people, ease people, get them comfortable. And like I said a little earlier, like people aren't artists, so we can't expect them to have this full blown out idea. But once you get comfortable with us and you sit down with the artist and they kind of hear you out and they ask some questions, then we're like, we know what you want. This is what you want. And we make a lot of people happy that way.
No, you guys definitely do. And that's the other thing that I do think is really, really super, super awesome is um, being an artist in kind of the social media age. I think has helped, because you had a lot of people might not have known the artist from Albuquerque, but now you can go up on Instagram and you can see the different aspects. Now, as you were coming up, who were
Yeah.
some of the artists that influenced you the most, and who were the artists that made you look? I was in the military. I learned more from bad sergeants than I learned from good sergeants.
Right.
So I'm not going to ask you to throw anyone under the bus, but if there's a bus that's passing by and you happen to want to chuck somebody,
Right.
good content is good content.
Absolutely. So when I never saw myself as being a tattoo artist. Like that's another thing people need to know. I wanted to be an interior designer, so that's what I was studying for. I was working at a firm doing that as an intern, and I just jumped into tattooing. So I had to teach myself and kind of learn the ropes and learn that industry like super quick. And all that I had at the time was like TV shows. So I was starting when there was like LA Ink and Kat Von D was huge. And that was kind of a good push for me, right? Because I'm watching her show and I'm like, wow, like she's a chick doing her thing. She runs her shop. People are traveling all over the world to come and get tattooed by her. The shop is big, it's beautiful, it's amazing. And her style is this black and gray realism that is what I thought I wanted to do. So I would say if it was one person that I was like scheming at, it was definitely her. Um, I thought she was dope. And then being on the show and meeting like Chris Nunez and all those guys, like they were big on TV as well. And then I got to meet them in person, and some of them weren't my favorite tattooers. Watching, seeing them and then meeting them in person, I'm like, oh, okay, like you're okay. I would never get tattooed by you, but that's why everyone has their own styles. But yeah, so I would say like she was a big influence, and she kind of pushed me because it was male driven in the industry. So to have that as a role model was pretty dope.
Well, I think it's awesome, and I love the arc that the tattooing industry has gone through in the past, like I'd say 20 years, where it's kind of come from that, only those are the dregs of society that have broken
Mm,
so many laws, and this different aspect of it, and they've got the 1.5 million teardrops, and they're doing all this crazy things, and oh, look out for the spider webs on their elbow
right,
because that means
right,
they've
right,
done
right.
time. Um, and now it is this beautiful, amazing artistry where you have so many different styles, where you have the as we talked about in the chair, the polka trash style, which I think
Mm-hmm.
is so super interesting, and then you have the art realism and a lot of the watercolor styles. I know you love you love the realism and the black and gray, which is
Hmm.
great. Now, can we shout out some of the artists that are in your shop? Like, let's talk a little bit about what they
Absolutely.
do. So, like,
Absolutely.
so the audience can be like, oh, there's more people than just Ashley there.
Yeah. Oh, way more than me. I wouldn't be able to operate if all the wheels weren't turning at my shop for sure, because we're a solid team and I've known a couple of them for a very, very long time. Um, so let's see, we have Tatito, and he is also my fiance. So we'll shout him out first.
There you
So
go.
he his
Congratulations.
thank you very much. His style is very similar to mine, where he loves black and gray realism. So people often joke that like if they can't see me, they're happy to see him because our styles look very similar. However, he is amazing at lettering, which is also a style. So a lot of people think like, oh, I just want to get a name. You have to look for someone who's good at lettering. That's a thing. Like you want someone that's gonna write it freehand and make it flow. So lettering itself is a style. So he's very good at that. And then we have Pat Scott, and he is who we like to send people to that love color. That man can have something bright and vivid. Very good at color. He loves graffiti art, so he's gonna give you that. Very good at like anything that's like anime or like comics. He's very good at that. So if we send anyone, anyone wanting like a Disney character or something, bright color, he's your guy for it. And then we also have my artist Becky, who is we call her she's our tatter tot. She's the baby of the group. The
Mhm.
tatter tot. She's been tattooing for about 2 years. She was an apprentice, now turned tattoo artist in the shop. And I don't want to say little girl because she's younger. She's a whole
Mhm.
woman, but she is amazing, and she does a lot of like what's the in now, which is that fine line minimal artwork,
Mhm.
where it's like you can't believe you got the detail in something that's like that small kind of thing. Very hard to do. Not just anyone can do it. So she's good at that. Also good at black and gray. And then we have another artist named Busta, who is our OG tattooer. He's been tattooing longer than like all of us combined. And
Right.
he comes from New York, and he's our traditional guy. He does American traditional. So there's someone for everyone at my shop, and everyone has a tons of experience. Me, Tito, and Scott, we've been working together 6 years, but we've known each other for like 10.
Right.
So it's definitely a family. You're gonna get that vibe when you're in there. Everyone helps each other, looks out for each other, has each other's back. We're definitely a good crew, a good family at the shop.
No, definitely a good crew and definitely a good family. And again, I can say that because I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the key things, and that's what we love about doing this show is we get the opportunity to highlight those local businesses that are in the actual neighborhood. Was that Mr. Rogers says these are the people in your neighborhood, or
Mm-hmm.
whoever
Right.
that was. Won't you be my neighbor? Um, and it's so incredibly and so incredible important. Now, what made you do the shift from State Street to Whitney?
So it was a lot of good reasons and bad reasons. The one shift was I loved my starter shop that was on State Street. We were next to Cafe Nine, a very well known bar that was doing live music. We were next to another venue. It was very busy, very busy. The State House, everything was very busy there. We were in walking distance to a lot of our clients. And the shop was beautiful. The shop was great. And then unfortunately, we ended up getting a bad neighbor. Not all
Mhm.
neighbors are good. So we ended up just being placed next to people, and I'm not gonna like throw it out there, but it just made the situation bad. The
Mhm.
street ended up being not so inviting as it was before in the years prior, and I felt like my lease is coming to an end. There's no need for me to stay here, and let me see what else is out there. Like, let's expand. And the good thing is, I felt like I kind of outgrew that shop on State Street, and I wanted something bigger. And I wanted to look at a new set of walls, and I wanted to drive a different route to work. So I drove around, determined to find something else. And I drove through the streets of New Haven, and I saw the street on State. I'm sorry, on Whitney. We're on the corner of Whitney and Trumbull. So we're
Mhm.
right there on that very busy intersection, and it's a building that's been there for over 100 years. It's been very many things over the years. One of the last things it was fashionista. which was like a very well known like thrift and consignment shop. And once I saw it available, like I pulled over, called the realtor, and had an appointment to look at it ASAP because, again, being from New Haven, knowing the vibe of New Haven, I love the foot traffic. It's on Yale campus. So I said, this is where I got to be. So the location has been great. We're going to be there for a couple more years, and you guys all should check it out because I think the vibe of my shop, and yeah, it's mine, so I'm going to like post about it, but you walk in there and it's not just for people who don't haven't been to a lot of tattoo shops. You might have this image of like a dark place with like loud music and everyone's like boring and they're just there tattooing by giving your money, leave. Like, no, like we're a whole vibe. We play good music. We're going to give you something to drink. We're going to give you some snacks. We're going to laugh with you. And our shop looks really, really cool and very nice. So yeah, you guys all should come check it out.
And actually, I every once in a while I get weird little business ideas, and I have to share them because just the way that my brain goes. I think, especially with how incredible the New Haven music scene is, I think your shop would be
Mm,
great for like listening parties. You know, you have some of the artists that are out there to try to release some new stuff. You have a listening party there. You know, I'm not saying you do flash. You have like, just consultations, and
right.
you can then either book or you can get tattooed at that point in time. I think that might be, we might have to talk. I feel
Right.
like that's
So that's
awesome.
actually really funny that you said that because we have a good friend, Mikey. He's a good friend to the shop, and he has a clothing line out called Valley Life. And so he does a lot of like apparel, and he is dipping his feet in the music. And he put like a sample album out. I don't know if that's what you call it, but it has like 4 or 5 tracks on it.
Yeah,
And he
yeah, like an
bought it by
EP.
the shop. Right. So he bought it by the shop and had us all listen to it. And I was like, dude, I can totally put you like there in the corner playing your
Mhm.
music, have people come on in and have something like that. So
Yeah.
I do see how my shop could like host stuff like that. So it's definitely a talk that we're entertaining for sure. So we got to talk.
Oh yeah, no, we'll definitely talk because I know a whole
Yes.
bunch of people, and whether it be them performing kind of maybe like an acoustic set down, or even like some of
Yes.
the backpack hip hop stuff that's out there that
Mm-hmm.
can do it with a phone or a laptop, or it's just playing the album over the listening thing there, and
Mm-hmm.
having people kind of like cocktail hour and sit and talk, with you guys about different kind of where does this where does this song take you artistry wise? I think
Mm.
there's a whole lot there. Maybe
Yes.
we just came up with our own reality show actually
Yeah.
now. Um, Welcome to
I'm here
Musically
for
Ink
it.
Master.
Right. I'm here for it. I love it. I love it. I mean, and that's the kind of stuff that I like because over the years of tattooing, we've definitely done different events. We've gone off and done other things. So like I want to always be fresh. I always want to do different ideas, stuff that just like brings the community together. I'm big about that. And if it's gonna be music that's gonna bring someone in a tattoo shop for the first time, I will gladly be the person to do it or the shop to facilitate that for sure.
That's awesome. All right, no, we're definitely going to talk because I'm already seeing how this can work out in so many different ways because I've seen it a lot. You see it in the scene in New Haven a lot. There's a bunch of different tattoo places that'll come to a show and they'll do like open air different stuff, but I never really see it at the tattoo parlor itself. So you guys are only represented by like a business card and whatever artist showed up that day.
Right.
Taking it and moving that entire experience to a tattoo shop, it pays more dividends to everyone if we're being honest,
Mm-hmm.
and especially keeping it as like a listening party. Oh yeah, definitely. See, I love when good ideas just happen to just jump in the middle of a broadcast. You know,
Absolutely. I love it.
so as you are moving forward and you guys are evolving as artists and you're evolving as a shop and as a business, what are some of the next steps that are out there? Are we going to see like a show off artistry float in the St. Patrick's Day parade? And if so, would you like some musicians for that float? I might know some
Right.
people.
Um,
Just saying.
I'm here for all of the things. Like I love it. You know, I'm down. So right now, like a lot of things that tattoo shops do outside of the shop is we do like pop-ups often. So if they were like right now there's a huge trend where breweries will have tattoo shops, and they'll set up a pop-up shop there, and they'll do like a collab with the brewery. We're in talks with a bunch of people to do different things like that, and we just want to be, not just stuck within our shop, but we want to go out there. So like being in a parade, that sounds awesome. um I know there's a lot of like New Haven road races going through Whitney.
Mhm.
So I mean, we can set up tent right there on the sidewalk, and if you're driving by at the 5 mile, or running by at the 5 mile marker, and you want to get a little bigger to commemorate that you're running the thing, we'll do that there. So anything big with the community, we're down for. Yeah, we're here for all the activities for sure.
There you go, New Haven. Pay attention because
Right,
this is really super important, and we hope that the higher ups that have to deal with the permitting and stuff are all like, that's actually just a genuinely great idea, and we don't worry about the paperwork.
right,
Because I'd
absolutely.
much rather ask for forgiveness than permission. That's just me personally. I'm a little bit of a rebel when it comes down to different things like that. Um, but as you do move forward, is there anything in the industry itself that is like on the come up? Because there's so many different. We saw the evolution now from the coils to the handhelds,
Right,
machines and different things. Which I have to tell you, I miss the buzzing.
right.
I have that on as like brown noise when I need to go to sleep.
Oof.
Um,
My hand doesn't miss it. My carpal tunnel from that heavy machine, that doesn't miss it. But yeah, that was a big switch, right? So then there were these old school coil machines, those really loud ones, which a lot of people associate that noise with the tattoo shop. Very, very heavy. Did some damage to a lot of artists. Like I know an artist now who's out of Florida. He was on the show. He just got carpal tunnel surgery on both his hands at the same time, because there could be permanent damage, right? Permanent damage done by these things. To now, which you just mentioned, which is now a cordless machine that you plug in, got 8 hours worth of power, like your cell phone. You charge it at night, and then it's good to go for the next day. So now there's those. So there's definitely a change of like equipment. There's a change of better ink, right? So now these inks are better. They're made with better ingredients. They're more vibrant. They're gonna last longer. You might not even need a touch up. And there's definitely a big switch in. You mentioned, the art, the artwork form, the style. Like this is an art now. This isn't so much like these sticker arts where you just come and you slap something on and you keep it moving. Like no, like these are things that you're invested in. You care about the meaning for it, how it looks compared next to other things, the size of it compared to other things, um, how it flows on your arm, how it's gonna heal. Like there's so many. It's such more of a process now that I guess that process always existed before, but no one ever acknowledged it. It's more of like a, why are we doing this? How's the best way to do it? And let's make it look like there's just more levels to it, if that makes any sense. It's more of like a process. The artwork is more important now.
No, it is extremely important, especially here on WNHH 103.5 FM, New Haven, behind the brand. I am Easy Blues. Preston again went out romancing with Sasquatch and is having a wonderful time. But we are here with Ashley Velazquez from Show Off Ink Artistry, and I really love the fact that we are here. I love talking about tattoos. I can literally talk about tattoos forever, ever, and a day. Um, but one of the things that like we don't really look at is what are those steps for, so now we have that young artist, the
Right.
one who wants to make that transition. What are the steps that they can do? What are some of the things that they can do on their own to get to a level to be ready to apprentice and to be ready to then get their own little chair? What are those
Yeah.
steps?
So again, great way that you asked this question, because we talked a little about how things have changed, and even getting into the industry has changed a lot too. So before, if there was like a young person now that wants to become a tattoo artist, they want to get into a shop, the old school way of doing it is you first and foremost need to know how to draw, right? So you come into the shop with a portfolio of things that you've sketched, you've drawn, you've been working on. You show the artist at the shop, the owner at the shop, your stuff, and they kind of get a feel for you and see if you got potential. And if they want to take you on as an apprentice, you need to do like a year too long apprentice. Sometimes it can take up to 5 years. So then be at that shop, have your hands in everything from the building the machine for breaking everything down, the hygiene of everything, cleaning everything. Like you learn everything before that artist feels, that master, the person teaching you feels like you're ready to put the machine in your hand to do your first tattoo on someone. That can take anywhere from a year to 5 years. So that's an apprenticeship. And then, you start doing small tattoos on walk-ins, or you start with friends and family, people who don't care that you're going to mess them up potentially a little bit because you're just starting. So that's like the traditional way to get into a shop. You bring someone your artwork and they see if you have potential, or they, even if they like your vibe and feel like they can work with you, and they take you on. But a big thing that's been popping up over the years are these tattoo schools, right? So now you're not going to a tattoo shop and you're not getting a traditional apprenticeship done. You're going to these tattoo shops that are part-time tattoo schools, and they're charging these young kids tuition, like if you were in college, to them teach you how to do tattoos. And they're just cranking these kids out. And I can't, I'll be lying if I says I know how long it takes for them to teach you, but I'm not hearing good things. So it could be like a couple month turnaround of them teaching you. You're paying this person, teaching you how to tattoo, and then they're throwing you out into the world, and they're like, okay, you're a tattoo artist now, go. And because they didn't do it, the traditional way, they weren't taught one-on-one. These kids are looking into tattoo shops thinking that they're ready, and they're not. So I definitely would say, if you want to get into tattooing, it's something you're aspiring to be, definitely get your drawing where it needs to be, and to a level where you're comfortable with showing someone, you're confident, walk into a tattoo shop, show them that stuff, and see if they're willing to take you on, and if you're serious. So we're actually in January, show off at Artistry. I'll put this out with you first, that we are going to be looking to take on 1 or 2 apprentices. I haven't had one in 2 years. Becky was my latest apprentice, and she's now an artist, killing it, booked up for 4 months. So I'd like to say that I taught her well. So in January, we are looking to take on 2 apprentices. So if you're hearing this and you want to get into it, make sure your art level's there, and come in and talk to me come January.
That is really awesome. And I hope that everyone is sitting at home and they wrote that down, like, okay, January, I know where I need to be, because I think it's so super interesting. You see this with all the different art forms, and I love the fact that we're at that now with tattooing, where you'll see these kind of like, I call them Mick franchises.
Okay.
They open up and it's like, okay, pump out as much as possible. You saw it, like, we're recording. Look, all the people who went to school for recording technology, that is absolutely amazing. But there were some old school heads out there, and like, yeah, if you would have just showed up at my spot with a broom, I would have taught you the same amount of stuff, and
Absolutely.
it would have been more hands on. So I love that it still has that traditional value, even though we're in the Mick
Right.
franchising aspect of it all, with these schools. And I'm sure, like, no matter what, because we don't pour salt on anyone else's hustle. If that's who you guys
Absolutely.
are and that's what you guys are doing to make what you need to make and get to the steps that are there, awesome. I just hope that you find the best thing for yourself, and you move
Yeah.
forward and you grow. That being said, you know, there were certain we'll say, like, martial arts places. You can
Right.
sit there and you can go to Okinawa and study under the masters, or you can study at Tiger Showman, and they put a bunch of footwork in front of you and say, good luck, I hope everything
Right.
turns out
Exactly.
okay. you
Exactly.
know so I love that. I absolutely love that. um Now, what are you looking for in it? Since we're there, since we've already, like,
Yeah.
dropped the ball here, what are you actually looking for? Obviously, the drawing skills, but
Yeah.
as the human skills, what are
Right.
you
Right. Right.
looking for? Because being a tattoo artist is very similar to me, like if I could draw, I would definitely be a tattoo artist because I like to talk to people,
Hmm.
and I like to get that type of aspect. So, what are you looking for from the human side of an apprentice?
I want someone who can be a people person, not scared to talk. I want someone who's a sponge, right? That they're willing to listen to what I have to say. Um, I I want everything that wasn't me 13 years ago. That was a complete show off and not willing to like accept anything or learn anything because for everyone listening, it does not like I'm a 1% example of how like me being as stubborn and hard headed as I was, it worked out, and I'm as successful as I am now because I push myself and I know how to hustle. But you're not gonna walk into a tattoo shop and think you know everything and it work out for you. So do not do that. Don't do that. It's not gonna work, and I'm gonna smell it walking through the door, and I'm gonna send your ass back out. So don't do that. Um, so definitely be an open, be open, be a sponge, be willing to learn, to learn everything about tattooing, but also, like you said, you might have to come in and pick up the broom and start
Yeah,
sweeping, or my receptionist is sick, so she's not going to be able to do all the cleaning. I might ask you to scrub the toilet
right.
because you need to know, like, yeah, the bathroom is part of the tattoo shop and people need to use it when they're in a tattoo shop. So anything that has to do with the shop or how it runs, you need to learn. Um, so definitely a sponge, someone open, and someone who doesn't think that they know it all to try to impress us, because we're gonna try to like break you down to the bottom to tell you how it is and what you need to know, and we're gonna teach you the right ways. We're not gonna well, what are those things in college when you're joining a sorority or fraternity and
Right.
like they haze you and embarrass you? And it's not to that, but
Right.
you're definitely gonna have to learn our ways the way that we know to teach you, and things are going to be fine. You're going to be okay. You're going to learn the right way.
And that's as one of the huge things, you for all those that watch Karate Kid or sit and watch Cobra Kai as it's being played on Netflix now.
Hmm.
You go over those steps and you don't think that these are things that are super necessary, but making sure that your shop is completely clean and keeping into that type of mentality is so super important. I
Hmm.
tell I've got younger kids and they're already talking about tattoos and I was like, that's fine when you're 18 and it's completely legal for you to get a tattoo. You're like, oh, but dad, so many people, you can just get us a tattoo early. I was like, yeah, but I'm
Right.
not going to do that because
Hmm.
if that person is willing to break the code for this one situation, what other situations are they not coming up to code on?
Right.
Are
Right.
those
Right.
all needles being taken care of? Like all those different kind of things. I'd much rather not be in a situation, and I definitely don't want my kids, in a situation where I have to think maybe this isn't the right thing for them. Um,
Hmm.
so it is super, super, super important to learn as much of it as possible, and as much of the business that is, the ink to skin. It's also the cleaner to
Right.
to
Right.
to the
Right.
surface area. It is understanding that you have to have the right amount of saran wrap to make sure that things are taken care of, and to know the proper way to dispose of needles. Because there is this whole process that a lot of people overlook because
Right.
it's not the cool and fashionable part of tattooing.
Absolutely.
So
You're right. Like a lot of these young kids, if they want to get into tattooing, they see it like, oh, I want to do a cool job. I want to be in a fun atmosphere. And like, let's be honest, the tattooing is a good way of living, right? So they want to come into something that they're gonna put a couple bucks in their pocket, but they're just looking at like, I have a cool job. I draw on people for fun, and I'm doing this amazing artwork and I'm getting paid for it, which that's all well and good. But like you said, you got to learn the cleanliness of the business. You got to learn about wearing gloves and wearing certain protective stuff when you're tattooing. You got to learn about pathogens, and you can get people very, very sick. Like that's a
mhm,
thing. And my shop is big on that. Like if you read my Google reviews, my Yelp reviews, Show Off and Gardashi is very clean. They're very cleansy. They're cleanly. They clean up properly. Like we're big on that. Like
right.
who wants to send their minor to a tattoo shop and it's horrendous in the shop?
Right.
Like you don't want to do that. So that's important. So we cover all the bases when teaching someone.
Yeah, no, that is fantastic. And now that's the other thing that I don't think we've even talked about. Is there an age limit for apprenticeship? Like, does someone have to be 18? I have an artist child that's 14 right now and is thinking about possibly tattooing. And not that, I'm looking just for myself, but I'm also looking for myself. And is there an age limit? And do you need someone to sweep up at your shop?
Right. So you know what? I don't think I've ever had anyone. I've of course like we've had kids under 18. Like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, I want to be a tattoo artist, but no one's ever asked that young whether or not they could apprentice. So I'm not gonna lie on this on this platform right now and say I know because I honestly don't know. I mean, of course I know like you have to be at least 18 or over without parental consent to get tattooed. In the
Mhm.
state of Connecticut, with a parent's signature, 15, 16, or 17-year-old can get tattooed.
Right.
But I honestly don't know how young you have to be in order to tattoo. Like, we see these
Oh,
videos on YouTube and we see kids in other countries that are like 5 tattooing people.
right.
Like, morally, I'm not going to allow that to happen. Whether legally, I don't know if it can. I don't know. But I mean, I'm not opposed to like a 16 or 17-year-old coming into the shop with dreams of being a tattoo artist, and they start off at the bottom, like
Right.
sweeping, cleaning up, picking up things here and there. And maybe when they get 17, 18, they're ready to have a machine in their hand. I think that's cool. I wish I had that when I was that young, but again, I wasn't planning on being a tattoo artist then anyway, but I'm not opposed to that.
Well, let me put it to you like this: you're about to have a 14-year-old come and knocking on your door for just to sweep up and just literally to sweep up, and he gets paid in snacks and water. Like, he likes water and he likes snacks.
Right.
But that's what's so interesting is because I raise my kids differently. We've been hustling since hustling has been done. So they are already. I have both of them are doing internships at the Schubert Theater. One of them
That's amazing.
wants to do sound for the Schubert. Like, he's like, yeah, when I go to college, I want to work sound. I don't want to work at Taco Bell. I was
That's
like,
amazing. That's amazing. You're doing a great job. Let me
I
just say
appreciate that.
that's amazing. I have hustle tattooed on the back of my neck.
Mm. Yep.
Like, I that is something that I live by every single day. You got to work hard. You don't want to be a lazy bum, and you got to go out and get it. Because if you don't, other people are gonna get it way before you. And you'll never have a
Mhm.
chance.
No,
So
exactly.
yeah, like, don't waste your time, your skill. Get it.
Well, unfortunately, they are going to start pulling the Apollo curtain on us. I feel like we need to have like a part two, part three, part four check-in aspect of it. This has been such an awesome time. I actually like hanging out with you as a human. So I think we
Appreciate
should
it.
definitely be doing this more, and I look forward to working with you moving forward down the line. But right now, if you have advice to give to anyone, whether it be to start a business, to follow their dream, or anything aspect of it, besides hustle, which I'm sure is going to be the biggest
Right.
part of your advice, what advice do you have to give to that brand new entrepreneur?
Yeah. The one thing that I will say is starting a business or going off on your own, it's scary no matter what. But I would say just go with your gut, because I guess everything does happen for a reason. So if I didn't open my shop when I did 5 years ago, the original shop, I wouldn't be where I am now. But there was something in me that wanted to do it maybe 3 or 4 years prior to that. But I had a lot of people in my ear saying, "You're not ready, don't do it." So I would say, like, yeah, you're gonna fail sometimes. You're gonna hit rock bottom a couple times, but go with your gut. If you think you're ready to step out and do what you're trying to do it, right? Because you're gonna have these feelings of, I wish I could have done it here. I wish I started here. Like, that's what I would say. Like, if you feel like you're ready, try it. The worst thing that's gonna happen is you're gonna make a mistake and you have to start over, but you're gonna know the better way to do it the second time around. So just go for it. I wish I would have started my shop way earlier than I did, because I know that I had it in me to do it.
Hmm.
But that's all I would say. Just go for it. If you feel like you're ready, just go for it. Don't let anybody stop you.
Well, we have about 30 more seconds. I just want, how can people get in touch with you on
Yes.
how things go, and just, yeah, how do people get in touch with you?
Well, we're located at 93 Whitney Avenue, Haven. Our phone number is 203-553-4011. Or you can reach us at Show Off in Garden Street. That's our handle for Instagram. www.showoffingartistry.com. Our handle for our website and our shop name on Insta. It's the name on Instagram and our website.
Appreciate everything, Ashley. Thank you so much for being on this show.
Thank you.
Here behind the brand, 103.5 FM WNHH. I am Easy Blues, and Preston will be back probably Friday. But thank you so much, and it's been an honor and a privilege to have you on the show, Ashley.
I appreciate you. You're awesome. Thank you.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just this gown? I don't know.